going, YouTube? Today's video is going to be about Aura Stackers again, and I'm going to do the top DPS series, except this time I'm going to be doing one for the Aura Stacker, and I think this one will be very good because it will help people understand how they can fix their horrific Aura Stacker that does no damage at all, and it should be pretty good. Now, before we get into that, I just wanted to go over this Toxic Rain character I've been playing a little bit. And this might help out someone who's like trying to do a league start build or something like that, or maybe just for next league, as I'm pretty sure that Toxic Rain will remain one of the best league starters regardless, no matter what happens, because of its lack of gear requirements. And there's a lack of gear requirements. You can see my gear right now, and I'll go over it. And with this gear, I'm still clearing like white maps and yellow maps relatively easily with the Gauntlet mods. Now, for people who don't know what the Gauntlet is, it's an upcoming league by GGG, and it has these insanely hard mods built into the game, like more monster life, more increased monster damage, haste, onslaught, 2 additional projectiles, and then deals extra fizz as fire, cold, lightning, and you also get -20 to all resistances. So it's pretty much a league with the difficulty turned all the way up. I don't know if I can recommend most people to play it for a while because Act 1 is absolutely brutal, so maybe it's something that you can try out for a little bit and then probably give up and then go back to another game or go back to Expedition League. Because the game mode is brutal and I don't really find that much joy in playing the build, but I'm pretty much playing it because I like the challenge and the competition, even though I think I'm going to get owned because I really have not practiced that much and my character's only 72 instead of 95 like some other people's, but basically, I'm going to go over the gear, and then we're going to go into the Aura Stacker. Now, Toxic Rain is a build that's very, very gear independent. There's really nothing that you really need. And just to showcase that, I'm going to go over each piece of gear. So this is pretty much my Toxic Rain bow. It's +1 bow gems, and it has attack speed on it. And it's only a 4-link. So the way that Toxic Rain scales is by gem levels, and then you need as much attack speed as possible to put more pods down to the ground. And then after a little bit, the pods explode, right? So if the boss moves around a lot, it's really bad. But I think for the Gauntlet, the hardest bosses are like Uber Zeri Clone or the Split Phase, where the boss stays still. And then what's the other hard boss? Maven Brain is pretty hard, and it will get absolutely demolished by Toxic Rain in these overlaps. Now, the rest of my gear is nothing special as I haven't really been able to get any influenced items yet. So what you see here is just a bunch of life and resist rares. Helm is life and resist. This is life and resist. Make sure to get chaos res if you play in the Gauntlet because this -20% to all resistances also applies to chaos res. So you don't want to be walking around with -60 or -60% chaos res and get immediately one-shotted. So this chest piece I actually found very, very early on, and I think it's actually kind of unfair. It has 103 life and then tri-res with chaos res. So with these 2 items, I have some chaos res, otherwise I'd be at -80%. And then my rings pretty much just have life and resist and life and resist. And then the belt is the same ordeal, life and resist. The gloves, I opted for a little bit of attack speed because attack speed really makes the build feel a lot better. So pretty much attack speed, damage over time multiplier, and gem levels for scaling the skill. And then I crafted this pair of boots with harvest. It's just life, double res, dex, and some move speed. So you can see my resists are not too bad, and my quiver is just 99 life and cold res. I can probably get, what's it called, like attack speed or something on that. But flasks, I have Quicksilver Steadiness for the increased block and stun recovery, which is pretty nice because we will get stunned while playing this. And then I have this Perpetual Jade Flask of Precision because you actually do need a little bit of accuracy, but I am still very far below. So we probably need 1 piece of gear with some accuracy on it just to get 100% accuracy. And then there's this Quartz Flask of Staunching for bleed removal, Enduring Mana Flask of Adrenaline, and Seeding Divine Life Flask of Dousing. So nothing really special. I haven't really been able to roll the flask yet because I don't have any currency, right? Now, this character's journey, I'm not really going to go fully into it, but right now I really need to get a 6-link short bow. And that's by farming the cards, the Porcupine in either Terrace map or Plaza map. So a lot of SSF just comes down to finding your strategy and finding a way to get your gear slowly, one by one. or piece by piece. And that's pretty much just how it goes in general. You need to come up with like a plan of attack, like each piece of gear, what you need to farm and how you're going to reach it, right? So that's why like people who do a full practice run have a huge advantage, and I'm pretty much just winging it. I only just found out that Terrace or whatever, the map that's here, is the only map, is the highest tier map in its area. So if you put one watchstone in, you can farm it infinitely, or you can pretty much guarantee the map to be the only tier map that drops, kind of like Lighthouse back in the day for the Berserker shield farming. But anyhow, the Gauntlet does start on Saturday if anyone wants to play. But I probably won't be able to progress this character that much further because it does start on Saturday, which is only, what, like 2 days away. But now let's move on to the fun part, which is an Aura Stacker and actually fun build to play. Toxic Rain is pretty snooze fest. And yeah, it's actually Toxic Rain and a Totem build. So it's even worse. So that's how Focus Ballista works. They shoot when your Toxic Rain fires too. So Totem build, delay damage, literally the worst thing you can possibly imagine. So yeah, not the best experience at all, but Aura Stackers, let's see what the highest damage for Spark actually is. So I sorted the damage by Spark for Ascendants, and what we can see here, there's pretty much no CI players at all. I'm actually kind of surprised, but Spark, 41 million. So this guy is miles ahead of everyone else. So let's see why, right? Immediately you see a helmet that is kind of inverted, so he has a mirror helmet that's synthesized. So this is actually one of the ones that a lot of people run, or a lot of like the maxed out people run. So this is a synthesized helmet, and why we get this is to get the increased effective non-cursed auras from your skills, and that's 15% you gain. And then this helmet was pretty much crafted, I think, through essences, and he got int, and then they use Ashling to get +2 AoE gems while getting ES before on the Reforged Defense, and then they crafted on % ES. So this helmet is actually not that hard to craft, but it is hard to get the actual base with the synthesized 15% increased effective non-cursed auras. And a lot of times this helmet might end up being the best DPS helmet possible if you're actually at a breakpoint. I'm not really sure what this guy's aura effectiveness is. Let's go see what this guy's aura effectiveness actually is. So one thing we have to keep in mind is if he's running any purposeful harbingers or not. So let's see. Let's go look at Malevolence. So this is how you actually look at the aura effectiveness. So he's at 3.28. So I'm assuming he probably has. So he doesn't really get any huge breakpoint. So he's like 350%. And 350% does give you a breakpoint for some. So he has 1, 2. For the Necromancer part of the thing. So it gives you an extra 1% attack and cast speed per aura, which is not that crazy, but it does help out a little bit. So he's actually at 368% aura effectiveness. And you can see here right away, like I don't even need to look at the rest of the profile. The reason why he has so much damage is purely because he has 653% multi, which is just incredible. So right here we have this Nebula. So in order to reach #1 damage, you have to have a Nebulous with double damage, and you need to have other implicits that are also very strong. So right here, he has lightning damage and fire damage to spells. Now, fire damage to spells is needed to proc the Cinder Swallow, since your spells need to have fire damage to ignite. Now, let's see. His Call of the Brotherhoods, he has 2 rings that have auras on them, and they also even have, this one even has a Wrath effect. So that actually helps out a lot for the damage. So this guy's gear is actually just pretty much crazy, considering he has a mirror helm and a triple implicit useful Nebulous. So, and then even this one has Discipline Aura effect. And this is actually very strong for Aura Stackers in general, because the Discipline Aura effect actually gives you a lot of energy shield. So here, this is a mirrored amulet. I think this is pretty much a mirror tier amulet. So he has T1 multi, vitality, and then the RMR. Not only that, he also has damage pen, % ES, and projectile speed, projectile damage. This is definitely an amulet you can mirror, and you would not feel sad about doing so. So this guy's gear is actually just crazy. And he has a Grace Prism Guardian. Here he could get a little bit more damage if he gets like +2 auras with Grace. But in the end, the damage is probably not really that big of a difference. So here, the boots are your standard boots with the open suffix being taken up at aspect of the spider. And then he gets cannot be chilled, cannot be frozen craft, increased effect of tailwind, onslaught, and yeah. These are pretty much as good of boots as you can get. The only downside is he doesn't have 5 pierce, which he is lacking. And then he does have the enchant of damage pen, which actually is very, very useful for damage. Now, he's actually using a Stygian, and most people use a Headhunter for this slot, but Stygian is actually what gives you the Poe.ninja DPS, as it gives you an Abyss Jewel, and it also gives you a bunch of damage. So this one here has 5% pen during any flask effect, 15% cast speed, and 36% spell damage. And this is pretty much unmatched for what you can actually get. And then not to mention, he also gets phasing, ES, and multi on his Abyss Jewel. So this is what you should definitely be wearing for bossing, because bossing you don't really need a Headhunter, and this belt offers you the most damage. Now, Hands of the High Templar, this guy's is actually a pretty much 5 good implicits on the Hands of the High Templar. So he has +6 gems and a spell crit, and then +1 frenzy is kind of okay. Obviously, it would be better if the +1 frenzy was LE weakness, or if it was an extra level of gems, which would be +1 to gems. Now, this is pretty much as good of a character as I've ever seen. Now, this is a +4 shabs, a little low on the ES, 119%, but at this point, his gear is pretty much perfect. So you can see, even with all this perfect gear, he's only at 41 mil, which is kind of low compared to before, but still incredibly high. 41 mil would probably be one of the highest profiles, even in Ultimatum League. Now, as usual, as I mentioned in the past, in order to get your Poe.ninja DPS super high, you have to use all of these orbs to give you increased effect on your flasks. So this is increased effect, and increased effect, and then this one here is increased duration. So overall, absolutely insane gear on his body. Now, does he have 1 passive point voices? Nope. That's actually quite disappointing to see. But this is probably one of the highest damage output setups, is 2 voices and 1 large. And then let's see. So he has mostly 35% ES. Then this is a jewel he's using to get some aura reservation. And here's Purposeful Harbinger replenishing. First among Purposeful. 35%, 8 int, 24 evasion. Kind of a weird jewel because it's actually not that good. Because he could get energy shield, maybe he's still trying to craft it and he's just using it for now. So he has 1 RMR jewel and 2 RMR jewels. So he doesn't really have like perfect gear, right? Because he does have a lot of jewels that could be RMR, but a lot of these jewels are going to be like near impossible to get RMR, especially the 35% flat ES, as those are usually like 5 to 10 exalts each. Now, you can see this profile has a lot of energy shields, 6,153. I guarantee you that this is probably one of the best characters in terms of how it feels to play. Now, what is this Watcher's Eye? So this guy has some insane gear on some pieces that are actually just like Mir tier and beyond what a Mir would actually cost. This is a double hatred with pen with zealotry. And then, let's see, Transcendent Flesh with RMR, of course. RMR, Might of the Meek, Intuitive Leap, Hazardous Research, Conqueror's Efficiency. So now the question is, how many triple multi-jewels does he have? 8% ES triple multi, triple multi, triple multi, spell damage, triple multi, triple multi, triple multi, not triple multi, but RMR, and triple multi. So the reason why he's able to get so many jewels without RMR is the fact that he uses this one cluster here that helps him with self-control and sublime form, which helps him out a lot for reservation. So by losing some aura effectiveness, he's able to gain an insane amount of multi, because some of these jewels would never ever exist in RMR form, right? All of these jewels would never exist. So he gains like probably like 100 or so multi by losing out on a little bit of aura effectiveness, which in a lot of cases is probably worth it. And that's like what comes with like the balancing equation of finding out the best balance between using aura effectiveness and gaining more multi on your actual jewels. So the reason why he has so much damage is purely because of his multi and it being so high. Now, something to keep in mind is that Poe.ninja actually does not do the best job of turning on everything. You can see here, Righteous Fire is... Oh, if you don't use Vol Righteous Fire, then it does turn it on. So, actually, it's fine now. So, Poe.ninja is actually not that bad for low life anymore, since most people don't use Vol Righteous Fire. So, let's see. Oh, yes, Sniper's Mark. This is kind of cheating, right? This guy's definitely not casting Sniper's Mark, and he's pretty much using this for the profile damage boost. Oh, that is definitely not... I mean, I guess you could cast Sniper's Mark, but with this damage, not many people use Sniper's Mark. He has Dread Banner, which is very, very good for defenses for this build. But other than that, nothing really too crazy. You can see his links, Crit Strikes, Arcane Surge, Spell Echo, Cold Pen, Anomalous Inspiration, and Anomalous Spark for the 2 Pierce. So this person could probably benefit from getting a pair of boots with, what's it called? With Pierce. 5 Pierce would probably be a pretty good upgrade for him. But anyhow, this profile is pretty much the best Aura Stacker I've seen all league for sure. And you can see here, the key to getting more damage is stacking a multi. And you can get more multi by sacrificing some RMR and getting perfect jewels. And it's pretty much, that's the big difference. And of course, if you really want it, put in Sniper's Mark. Even if you don't cast a skill, it will give you an insane damage boost. Let's see here. Sniper's Mark, let's turn it off. Turn off Sniper's Mark. Holy moly, it's a 30% DPS increase. Yep, if you want to get higher on Poe.ninja, just put in Sniper's Mark if you're playing projectiles and reap the benefits. Anyhow, I hope this review of this high-end profile really showcases how much this build can scale and how many choices you pretty much have, right? Because this person doesn't use a Glorious Vanity, and then he also chooses to use no RMR Cobalt Jewels, unlike a lot of other people, and he's able to make up the difference with this one medium cluster. So this is something to keep in mind. You don't need to have first among replenishings and 35% effect ES on every single slot. You can mess around with it a little bit. You can even have Purposeful Harbinger 35% effect or Purposeful Harbinger Sublime Form to make it a lot cheaper. But the main thing you should have is Discipline Aura if you enchant on the helmet if you plan to empower your discipline. And the upgrade path, as I always mention, is getting a Hands of the High Templar, as this is both a huge DPS upgrade and an ES upgrade. In order to demonstrate this, you can look here. If you actually take off the Empower on the ES, it already goes down by what, 5,842. And then you also have to lower this by like 6 gem levels, right? So he loses an insane amount of energy shield by not having this Empower. And then you can see the damage also drops drastically by not having Empower on the Smite, which is already 11.1. And that doesn't even include the 5 or 6 gem levels he gets, right? So he's already lost 30% of his damage, or like 30% of his damage, or 25% of his damage by not having Empower Smite. And that's why Empower Smite is such a big deal, and having a Hands of the High Templar as both a damage and HP ES increase is one of the best upgrades you can do. Because I do get a lot of questions about that, and I hope that answers it. And I hope this profile opens your eyes to how good an Aura Stacker can possibly be and why you will probably never be able to afford a high-end one. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you find more mirrors and results than I do, and see you next time. Bye.